Alright everyone, now we have news that is both important and unimportant. The loss of Sarah Palin in the special election in Alaska. Oh, what a shocker there with the ranked choice voting system. I have a few predictions about how that actually panned out. Yes, Sarah Palin has lost the special election there. Don Young was gone after many decades, and Palin and Peltola and I can't remember the name of the third wheel candidate, Bejish or something like that, were running for the position. Now they've got ranked choice voting there in Alaska now. It's a new system. It's one that I think confused a lot of people. The Democrats happen to have come out on top when it came to informing people about how the system worked, and that's why I think you see what you saw the other day. That does not mean the reduction of a red wave. There are people that are revising their polling estimates. Some of these pollsters, they're like, well, we were expecting 30 to 40 House seats to switch Republican in the election. Now we're only expecting 10 to 20. It's possible the Democrats will retain the House. Are you out of your mind? You're going to extrapolate one special election with a screwy voting system to be all of the House elections that are taking place in the United States? Dude, look at the RCP map. Even if the GOP only takes the races it's significantly favored to take, they already take back the House. They don't even need to win a single toss-up. The math is just not there. 20 is probably an underestimation of how many seats they take. I would still favor more like 25 to 30 at the particular moment. There is no blue recovery happening here. This is a special election with a screwy voting system. It is entirely possible that people who voted for Palin's Republican opponent in the four-tier system simply didn't check off Sarah Palin as second choice. It was because of confusion over the new voting system. This is a reasonably red area, and I think that Sarah Palin, as having been a former governor, should be able to carry it in the general election. That's the other part that people are not covering in the legacy media reporting about this. This special election only affects filling that seat until the November midterms for a few short months, and then of course you get the lame duck period if you lose, and then in January the new person is sworn in if somebody new has won. It's a special election. If I look back at all the other special elections that have been happening, it's like 80% MAGA prevailing in these things. It's Republicans in general, and MAGA in specific that are carrying them at significant levels. The writing is already on the wall, and really what this is a demoralization attempt. It's an attempt to get you to be black-pilled, to try to get you to support neocons thinking they're more electable, which is completely laughable, or to just stay home and say, well, it rained on my parade. I guess I have to hang my head solemnly, take a step back, and admit that the Republic is now crumbling like Byzantium, and there's nothing I can do about it, but we had a good run, fellow patriots. The United States still remains powerful. It's just not what it used to be. But I'm fine with that, like the boomer I am. That's basically what they want you to do. They want you to be very solemn and not really give a shit about the United States, to tell the truth. Now, as a non-fan, mostly, of Sarah Palin, as someone who was, I was up in hilarity back when she was the governor, and she had that fucking reality show, and she was like the moose hunting mama, and, stupid shit like that. I guess it works in Alaska politics. She is still preferable over electing a Democrat to that particular position. She has been endorsed by Trump. This probably does sting for him, but really, if you want her to win in the actual general, all you have to do is inform people better about the ranked choice system. Because I have a feeling that in this very narrow loss, it was only by about 2 points, by the way, so it's not exactly a stunning rebuke of Sarah Palin and the evil maggots and what it's being cast off as being. You have to inform people about how that more convoluted method of voting actually works. There were probably Republicans that didn't check off Palin on the second round or on the third round. Now, I think the second round carried it anyway. They didn't check her off. They just voted for one person because it's what they're used to. You're used to check off one person. Who do you want to vote for president? John Kerry, George W., or fuck yourself. Other, write in, which is the best candidate in that election. They're used to checking off one box. Only on the second page are you checking off multiple boxes. You have to actually read the instructions. I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't, by the way, read that. And so if you're running for constable or some shit like that and you're alphabetically, your name isn't first, a lot of times that person will just end up winning anyway. So people are not necessarily voting smart, so to speak. The Democrats had better messaging in this particular race with regards to an entirely new convoluted system, and Sarah Palin managed to lose, but it's a special election. This is for a couple of months of actual runtime as far as Peltola winning. It's very funny to me that the first Alaskan native, or whatever term they're using for people up there with igloos and sled dogs and shit right now, it's very interesting that the first person from that ethnic backdrop to be elected to Congress did so because of a massive change to the election system in a red state, admittedly, against Sarah Palin of all people in the most confusing matchup ever, and won by a couple of points, and now will be seated, but only for a few months. It's very, very screwy. It's sort of like if Joe Biden kicks it and the first female president is an unelected goofball who came in 7th in her primaries. That would not be good, by the way, for the Democratic Party. They should be singing long life to Joe Biden, even if they have to hold their nose while doing so. But this is being astroturfed, and this is the other part of the story that's meaningful. This is the meaningful part of the story in general, actually, is that the legacy media is claiming that this is evidence of a blue recovery. The red wave won't happen. The House will stay Democratic, and all of this hyperbolic nonsense. But none of that is indicated by this race. A less than 3-point win in a special election, introducing a convoluted new voting mechanism that was probably confusing people, a significant proportion of the electorate, that is not a major victory. If anything, it's a very minor victory. It's a stumbling block in the way of MAGA, I suppose. Not that Sarah Palin necessarily is true to the populist form. She was definitely more on the neocon / vaguely Tea Party evangelical side back in the Romney era, and certainly in the McCain era. We'll see what happens with her if she ends up in Congress at all. Peltola did win this. There don't appear to be any honkenings that went on in this particular election, other than the election methodology was changed and a lot of people didn't understand it. But that's not the case in most states. Most states are still using the old and better system that's not complex. It's not convoluted. It's something people are used to. How does this translate to a massive blue wave or some crazy shit like that? They're saying forget everything you know about the midterms. Every bit of math is completely wrong, and it's almost like an astroturf. Like they're going to try to honk in the midterm elections, and they're laying the groundwork for a justification for that because they know that none of the numbers will actually add up. So they're trying to throw in like an act of God situation in order to justify the honking that will happen in some states, by the way. I just don't think that it's going to be enough for the Democrats and the neocons to hold on to that particular amount of power. And in Alaska, which is a fairly red state, you don't have honking. You just have the transition to a new voting methodology. Right now it screwed Sarah Palin. Be interesting if in the actual general in November if it screws Peltola. Stranger things have happened within U.S. politics. That's about all. Peace out.